Happy New Year and welcome to the January Stampin' Society tutorial, where this month we are all featuring one beautiful bundle which is brand new to the mini catalogue that goes live this month. So this one is called the Love For You bundle, and I am excited because it features this beautiful stamp set, but it has these gorgeous dies that go along with it. I love word dies, and this one is super cool because it actually is a 3-part die. So it has a shadow and a die that coordinates with the word stamps, as well as these thin dies here. So you can actually use all three together. You can use the shadow, this one, and also the thin one together. Today I'm using 2, which you'll see in a second. It also has these beautiful words down here, these sentiments, and it has some gorgeous little floral and leaf images that go along with it. So I can't wait to show you what I've made. I'll be using some dies and some stamps today, but I actually made this one in a colour palette that I wouldn't usually gravitate towards, which is these oranges and reds. So I was excited to give this one a go. So I've used the shadow die as well as the stamp and the die to cut out my stamped image. I've also used some stamps on the little hearts there and a couple of other new products as well, which I'll explain as we go along. And then I've got a fun little inside there. And oops, I'm moving one of my pieces. So let's get started and I'll show you how to create this card. So the pieces that you'll need are all in the PDF, which you can purchase in my tutorial store, which is $9.75 Australian dollars, or whatever that converts to in the PayPal conversion in the checkout. Otherwise you can get it free if you make a qualifying purchase in my store. So these are the pieces that you'll need. I'll just go through them, but if you want more details on measurements, you can find those in the PDF. So I've gone and pre-cut one of the shadow pieces, which is just this one here out of Pale Papaya for the So Much Love. So I've gone and done that ahead of time, and I've got a piece of this beautiful vellum, and this is a new product out of the new catalogue. It comes with 3 different designs. So one is polka dot and there's a leaf one as well, and it's called Vellum Basics Specialty Designer Series paper. So I've gone and used the stripes. You'll need a scrap of basic white for the stamped image, and then I have a Pale Papaya card base and 2 layers of Pale Papaya. One is slightly larger and one smaller. And then for the inside of the card, I've just got a larger piece of Pale Papaya and a smaller piece of basic white, as well as a strip of that vellum and a smaller strip of the brushed metallic paper. You also need a scrap of basic black. This is a very large scrap, but that's just for your sentiment for the front. And I've gone ahead and pre-stamped that, so it's heat embossed in white. I just thought I would do that ahead of time. So what we're going to do first is actually our large sentiment on the front. So I'm actually going to use my Stamparatus because I find this the easiest way to do these, more of like the ombre style stamping. So we just want to take the So Much Love stamp, and I'm just going to place that onto my white piece, and I want to grab 2 ink pads. So I want my pumpkin pie and my real red. So on the top end of my stamped piece, I'm just going to ink that in some real red. So I want to make sure that's nice and inked up. And I like doing this on the Stamparatus because if you don't get quite enough ink, you can reapply and re-stamp. So give that a nice, hope that didn't move too much. I'm just going to check. All right, that's good. Okay, so then I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to go ahead and add my pumpkin pie to the bottom half of that image. And what I like to do is take a blending brush and just add some ink and kind of add a little bit of blending in between, so it sort of softens. It doesn't too much because these are quite bold colours, but it just helps to soften that a little bit. You can go a third colour, which will help. So then we get that beautiful two-toned look with our stamping. So I can put that aside now. It would look really nice in blues and greens as well. Okay, so this one I want to bring in the dies. So this one needs this, not the shadow die, the next one, like that. And I'm just going to bring in my die cut machine. And I just want to line that up. I think that's pretty good. And die cut that one out. Beautiful. So these will cut in 3 pieces. I don't have long enough nails. Okay. So we've got those, and I'm just going to pop this one to the side. Now the next step is we want to actually adhere these pieces to our shadow. So I'm actually going to just place them on there. And I want to add them with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And do you know, I had a ton of mini Stampin' Dimensionals and I can't find them anywhere. But I do have this little sheet from a kit, so I'm going to use those. So I'm just going to cut some off and add some dimension to the back of my little piece here in the more on the pieces that are a bit heavy. I don't want to use, I'm not thinking of the right word, that you can fit a dimensional on. So then I just want to adhere them where they go, so you can sort of tell where they'll sit. The love's a bit easier because you can just stick a whole line of dimension across there. I'm going to sit that one, and then, whoopsie. This is such a cool bundle. And you can mix up the words for different phrases. So there's so much love, or you can have so much love for you. You can have just for you or love for you. You can sort of mix and match them. Really easy. So it wasn't as hard as it looks. So that's that bit done. So then the next bit we want to do is take, I'll just check that that is one of the smaller layers. Yep. Take one of the smaller layers of pale papaya. I'll grab a scrap piece here. And then I'm sort of going to use this as a guide, but I want to take the two hearts. So there's a bigger and a smaller heart. And I'm going to stamp those across my background in Calypso Coral. So I wanted something a little bit darker. And I'm sort of using this sentiment that's not stuck down as a guide for my placement. So I want to stick a couple of hearts, bigger hearts, sorry. And then I'm going to go in with my smaller hearts and sort of fill in some of the spaces. So just want a few little hearts like that. Beautiful. And then I can take this away because I've got my placement pretty down pat. And then I'm going to take my pale papaya Stampin' Right marker. I'm going to move this out of the way. And taking the thick end, so you can tell that by the line here, and the cap, I'm just going to spritz some of this ink across my card. It doesn't add much, but enough to add a little bit of texture to the card. And then I'm going to spritz a heap of Wink of Stella because I love glitter. So I'm going to add lots of glitter. Okay, so to start assembling, actually I can adhere this to my larger piece now. So adhere that down. So I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal to this piece and stick that to the larger layer of pale papaya. And then we can grab our vellum piece, and I'm just going to add a little bit of Stampin' Seal just to the middle because I know that's going to be covered up. So I'm just going to add that in, and then I think I forgot to trim some ribbon, so I'll just trim this up. So I'm actually going to use one of the new ribbons, which is this beautiful pale papaya velvet trim. It's from the Delicate Desert Suite, I believe. So I'm just going to trim that. It's a little bit long, so I'll trim it some more. Let's check if that's the right size. Pretty good. So I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal across the middle again and stick that one down. Really pretty. And we can actually adhere this to our card base now because we've finished doing anything that needs to be done before we add it. Okay, so that can be adhered down. And then this little piece here is going to be stuck to the card with some Stampin' Dimensionals, but I don't want to add any in the middle. So I only want to add them to the top and the bottom because you do have the dimension from that ribbon. So I don't want to double up with the dimensions. So I'm just going to add some along the top and along the bottom. So got those ones. And then I'm just going to stick that one down. Beautiful. Okay, so now it's time to add our embellishments. So I've got another new product here, which is called, actually, before I do that, I'm going to add the sentiment. I did forget about our little sentiment. So I have stamped and heat embossed the Each and Every Day, and I've just done that in white. And I'm going to trim that into 2 strips. So I'm just going to trim those down. And I will cut them down to be individual little pieces. And then I'm just going to place those first where I think they might go. And I am just sitting them over the top of the letters. And I don't want to use dimensionals, so I'm making sure that they sit on top of the letters. Some of them will be only a little bit on the letter, so just make sure you add glue across the whole piece. Each and every day. So there should be a little piece to grab onto like that. Okay, so now I can bring in this product. So this is the Iridescent Pastel Gems, and I believe that this is from the Fancy Flora suite. I love these. As you can tell, I've used quite a few. And I'm going to add some of these on in this beautiful, I don't know, I think it might be Calypso Coral. And I'm just going to tuck, with these big ones, I'm not a super fan of big gems. So what I do with them is I sort of tuck them in behind things just to get rid of some of the bulk. So I can still use them, but not have them quite as large. Because I I like them sometimes being out and bold, but I tend to like them being a little bit more delicate. So I'm just going to add 6 to the card, which some people will not like adding that many, but I love embellishments. So I have loved this set to pieces. Now I'm going to add some sequins as well. So I wasn't joking when I said I like embellishments. I love embellishing. So you don't have to go and add this many, but I love a good scattering of sequins. It's totally up my alley. So I'm going to add, I like odd numbers, although 6 is not an odd number with the gems, but I've added 7. Now I find with these sequins, I tip them into the lid and then I use my take your pick tool just to pick those up. Now, because I'm on a video, I'm not waiting, but I actually find if you leave the glue for a moment and it goes tacky, it's a lot easier to stick these sequins down. But I'm sort of using my fingernail, then the tip, the pointy end to hold those down. But if you let your glue go tacky, it's a load easier. Okay. I love these little gold ones. These sequins are the bomb. I have used, they come with a pack of 3, so there's green, blue and pink, and I have used all of them to death. I'm a sequin person. I love my sequins. Okay, now I can just tip those back in the lid. And that's the outside of the card. How simple was that? Like, it wasn't actually that hard. So now let's make a pretty inside. So I've got all my pieces. Now I might bring my scrap back in. What I'm going to do is stamp a little flower here. And that comes with the stamp set as well. So I want to stamp my bold image in some pale papaya. So it's sort of a 2-step stamp. Now I was sort of playing around with the first card, so I want to stamp this a bit higher, I think. Now the next image I'm going to stamp in Calypso Coral. So there's a stamp that will add some detail. Now this one you've got to kind of, oh no, I can work out where that goes, sort of. It's actually easier. I think I did this the first time to stamp the detailed image first. Oh no, I got it pretty well. Now there's a tiny little inside to the flower, so I'm going to stamp that in some real red. It's a tiny little piece that just stamps the inside. Now I can adhere my little piece of vellum down. Now I'm just going to add the tiniest little piece of Stampin' Seal to the corners. And then I'm going to add, whoa, I'm going really off track there. I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal just to the top because that's going to be covered up. I'm going to add the gold over the top. Like that. Pretty. Okay, now I can adhere this to my layer of pale papaya, which I knew I went over somewhere. Like that. And then there's a small sentiment which says, thanks for all you do. I had to work out what that said then. And I'm just going to stamp that in some Memento Black. And I'm going to stamp that just on the inside. And then this one, actually I might add a little bit of sparkle. And then I'll add some Stampin' Seal and then add this to the inside of the card. like that. And that's the card done. So there we have it. 2 fun cards using the Love For You bundles. So that was a whole heap of fun. It's not, it's a great set to have because you can make heaps of different cards. Not just Valentine's Day themed or anything like that. There's lots of different things you can use the cards for. I would send these to friends because there's so many friends I could send this card to. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an amazing start to 2023, and I will see you guys all back in February for another fun tutorial. Be sure to go and check out all the other tutorials from the amazing team. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you next month. Bye.